What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bitch with Comrade Misty. I am Comrade Misty. I'm super excited. We just did a little bit of a warm-up bit just before we went on air, and we're gonna have some fun tonight, my friends. I think. So tonight we have several members of Fred Hampton Leftist. We're down one woman. We're missing our one of our sisters. We're missing. Who else am I forgetting?
Carrie.
Carrie and Jackie.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I think, okay. Yeah. But we have Sabby from Sabby Sabs. We have Afeni. What's your show going to be called, Afeni? I forget right now.
Facts and Fire.
That's right. Okay. And then we have Killjoy Meg, who's my favorite Killjoy. And they're all from Fred Hampton Leftist, and they've been doing kick-ass work over there, y'all. So thanks for coming over to the show. I'm excited to bitch with you guys. I'm pretty pumped about this. So before we got on air, we were bitching about the trolls who have been trying to sabotage Medicare for All. So I feel like that's a good place. We can just start there because that's been really driving me crazy. What do you like? I mean, I've been seeing you guys going off about it too. So who wants to go first? Who wants to rip it open first? Anybody? Bueller? Sleepy Josh?
I'll start. So I first heard about this whole let's sabotage the marches thing when I was on vacation. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, hard to follow in the Twitter thread. And I did notice that Savage Joy, it got to the point where she had to just take herself off of Twitter because she was getting attacked so much. People sending her like death threats. It's ridiculous. Like, that's how extreme it has become. And I'm going to be like the MC for the Boston March. Afeni's going to be a speaker for DC. And I just think that it's absolutely ridiculous. It's like, instead of like being supportive, even if you don't want to come to the marches or whatever, to come out and attack people who are trying to help everyone get healthcare in this country, it's just absurd. And so I realized that these are deeply unserious people, as Afeni was saying last night. And that just goes to show you they really didn't want to fight for it as much as they say.
100%.
I mean, it definitely seems like the only way that they want to fight for it is if they're leading the charge. It's like, I'm sure if they had come up with this idea, or if they had come up with force to vote, for instance, they would be expecting all of us to get behind them, just as we're at least not, we're not trying to push everybody to be for these things, but we're hoping that they will. It's like, if you truly believe in solidarity, you would be, teaming up with us. You would be building your own marches and organizing with us instead of trying to fight against us. So it is truly absurd, the levels that they're going at. It's like, it's only through very limited means that they expect us to fight for any of these issues, particularly through electoralism, because they're the ones who also get mad every single time that we call out AOC in the squad. Every single time we call them out, they're up in arms. It's like, okay, well, what else do you want us to do? You say organize, we're trying to do that, but it's only the way that they want us to organize.
But they're not doing anything.
Exactly.
They're not. What is organize? What are they doing? Because I mean, I'm happy for them to like take the lead then, fam. Go do something, go organize something. I'll come to your event. I will absolutely come to your event. If you have an event for Medicare or for healthcare, for just healthcare in whatever form, I don't care. There's some arguments over what that could potentially look like. But I'm like, let's go. Let's go. I mean, right. It's ridiculous. And if any, you're speaking at one too, right? You're going to speak at the one where you live.
Yeah. And, I'm a radical abolitionist. Like, I believe in transformative justice and I believe in radical accountability. And they took all the proper accountability measures with this march. Once that flyer came out, there was a whole article that came out where the guy said he wasn't even invited to the fucking march in the first place. So why are we still having this conversation? What are we talking about? Are we fighting for these things? Yes or no? Like, if, like, I think about the ACT UP campaign. I think about, the women's marches. I think about all of these other different large national actions that have been successful and actually changed the culture and changed the way that we talk about these things. But yet here we are fighting against our own principles and dividing ourselves for what? Do we care about these things? Yes or no? And out here in DC, a Black Panther, a former Black Panther, is speaking at the same march that I'm speaking.
Nanny. Yeah.
Are you going to say that she's also anti-Black? Or are you going to say that she also supports white supremacy because she decided to go forward with being a part of this march? Don't disrespect us. Please don't. Please don't. So I'm tired of having this false argument. It's just like, if y'all, like it's been said, if y'all are going to take the lead and do something on your own, I will promote it. I will stand in solidarity with you, and I will be there. I will make sure I'm there, because at the end of the day, I support policies. I am a supporter of anti-racist universal health care that makes sure that people do not die in the richest country in the world, because every other country is already there. Every other country.
Yeah, you're right. Why do we have to even have this fucking conversation? People are dying. That should be enough. Like, we can have arguments over, some dumbass shit about what you think of me personally and who you don't like and what argument you're at, what beef you're in on Twitter. I don't give a flying fuck. People are dying. And this should be something that is a no-brainer issue. Like, seriously, like, okay, I'm an Assange activist, right? Free speech activist. I get shit on the regular, right? Like, it's not like a very popular issue. I thought for sure when I got involved in these marches, and I said I would MC the Columbus one, I thought for sure this is gonna be so easy. Like, everybody wants Medicare for all, right? Like, even Republicans want Medicare for all. Like, this is gonna be a cakewalk. I'm seeing some of the same tactics and some of the same bullshit that's used against us when we're fighting for press freedom used against the organizers for Medicare for all. Mm-hmm. And that's from people who claim to want healthcare. And y'all need to explain yourselves. What the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Making it about some bullshit personality contest or popularity contest. I don't care. I don't care if I hate you. If you have an event, I'll show up. I guarantee you. I will show up. I'll be there. And I'm not going to be there to like try to be like a chaos agent or like bombard it or try to sabotage it. I'm just coming, and I'll stand there. What the fuck are they doing? Seriously.
Center ourselves. Like, people need to center themselves. It's not about you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's because some of them only want to do things through the Democratic Party or through electoral politics, and anything outside of that, they can't like wrap their mind around it. It's like impossible or stupid to them. I mean, someone posted a picture of me and said, "This is Sabrina. She's going to be emceeing the Boston March. I don't think Sabrina's a Nazi." You think? Like, the fact that had to be said.
It is really dumb. They're really dumb. I don't know if it's that they're honestly just that dumb, or if they are just, I don't know. It's really frustrating to deal with, though. I mean, from people who are supposed to be on our side.
Right. And even those who, they keep on bringing up the Nazi being invited story, like that lie has been debunked so many times now. He was not invited. Someone made a mistake. They addressed it. And so they're talking about accountability. It's like, they've addressed it. So what more do you want them to do? What more do you possibly want them to do when they've already addressed it? They've already put in measures so that it doesn't happen again. Like, I'll just keep asking the same question. What more do you want them to do? Like, or do you just want, like, if you were truly an ally, why are you trying to sabotage it?
There's marches in how many cities now? Like 44? Right? And they're trying to sabotage 44 marches across the country. Like, because what they want is for everybody to give up and say, okay, we're not going to have it. That's what they want. And then they want to feel very big and proud of themselves that they were able to bully people out of doing marches for healthcare. And you got to be some kind of, like, I don't get
sociopath.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I mean, over like some personality Twitter bullshit. Fuck out of here, man. So annoying.
Right. Even like some of the comments of, these are marches being led by reactionaries instead of professionals. It's like, have you looked at the guest list? We have Black Panthers, we have doctors, we have activists, we have people who have who are cancer survivors. We have Scott Desnoyers who lost his son because of $20.
And what's this gatekeeper bullshit to begin with? You don't have to have some kind of qualifications to show up to a rally and say some shit. You have to be a human being who cares about the issue that the rally's about. So fuck out of here with your you need qualifications. That's the same shit when they AOC wanted you to have like your certificate before you could be like an organizer. Fuck off. You don't need a certificate for that. Anybody can do that shit. It's this elitist, classist, just garbage ass mindset. It drives me fucking crazy. And they're still doing it. Like they're still doing it to the Medicare for All people. Like I've talked to, several of them, and some of them have never really organized before. And, in my opinion, they're doing a pretty great fucking job organizing a national event. That's not easy. You know what I'm saying?
One thing I want to add, like to Meg's point, the whole like professionals comment, they sound like elite liberals. And Afeni and I were just talking about this last night. Like some of these people are not leftists, you guys. Some of these people are liberals, and they've been disguising as leftists. And the moment Biden won, they showed you exactly who they really are.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's just like, I can tell that y'all don't really stand in solidarity with Black people, with Indigenous people, or with working class people, period. Because if you did, then y'all would talk about real working class issues. Y'all would have, redistributed some of your wealth, because a lot of people were starving during the pandemic. People were getting evicted. And what did these big networks do? What did Sam Cedar do? What did TYT do? What money did they give to mutual aid? What were they outside feeding people? No, but grassroots activists were. And they're the same grassroots activists that are organizing this national march. And we're all human beings who make mistakes. And people took accountability. So why are you evading forgiveness if you're not a bad faith actor? People are dying, and y'all are sitting up here trying to figure out a way to keep your supremacy and your privilege in this movement that y'all say that y'all are trying to lead. Where are you leading us to? Back into the Democratic Party? Back into the ever-shifting Overton window that is being pulled rapidly to the right because the squad is weak as hell? Where are you leading us to? This is why I say non-Black people cannot lead us anywhere, because y'all are not urgent enough. Y'all are not starving. Your lives are not in danger. So you don't understand. You don't get it. And so we need to be led by people that get it, so we can continue the fight, because we need to make everyone's lives better. And everybody that is working class, everybody in this country that has had to do potlucks across this country, that have had to wash their clothes at their neighbors' houses because they didn't have their water on, or freaking borrow candles because their lights were off. Those same people are the same people that need fucking healthcare. So those are the people that we're fighting for. So I'm not having this argument with you elites who have your healthcare and your money. Like, please, just admit who you are. Go work for the Biden campaign. Go work for Hillary, and just get out of our way.
Yeah, go ahead, Meg.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Afeni, you make a really good point about, like, they have no sense of urgency. Not whatsoever. It's like, if we can just, we can just get 3 more co-sponsors, then eventually, in time for the apocalypse, we might have Medicare for all.
Y'all,
but, that's the only way. Come on. So just as long as we have 3 more co-sponsors, we'll have it in time for the apocalypse. They have no sense of urgency whatsoever. Like, they do not understand the word crisis. This is a crisis. Like, we need to be moving now.
And it's a self-inflicted crisis. It's a choice. This is a fucking choice. This shit is a choice. We can we could do this. If you guys would stop trying to divide and sabotage, we could actually get a whole lot of people in the streets. And that's how you fucking get shit done. So lead, join, or get out of the way, please. I'm done. I'm done with this shit.
Amen.
Either get in the streets and get something done, or shut the fuck up. And okay, no, I need to qualify that, because that's actually, that's a little shitty. It's a little ableist, because not everybody can get in the streets. And I 100% get that. And by get in the streets, I mean, get in the game. Let's go. Whatever you can do with whatever you got going for you, do it, or just shut up, real talk.
I mean, to Afeni's point, when she said, is TYT, were they out there feeding people and donating money? No, Jink is not donating money to people. You know why? He's always asking us for money. Like, that's one thing, like Jimmy had said a while back. Jimmy was like, every time I see you, you're on TV, like, give me money, give me money, give me money. And it's true. Like, every time I see this dude pops up on my screen, my TV got stuck on the TYT channel. And every time I would turn it
get
on,
stuck on TYT.
It's still like a newer TV. It's one of those smart TVs. I'm still trying to figure things out with this TV. But every time I would turn it on, it was on that channel. And every time I turn it on, I hear his loud ass mouth. Oh. And it was just always like, give me money and donate here. Oh, guys, we got staff, right? We got to pay for staff. Like, it just, why are people donating money to TYT? TYT signed a $20 million deal. So why are people still donating money to them? Take that money that you give to TYT and give that money to mutual aid groups.
Period.
Right.
Actually help people.
Especially since TYT has shown that they are not very good at managing money, considering the $20 million is supposed to go to investigative journalists.
And then they fired all their investigative journalists.
Exactly. Like Ken Cope's team. Where's he?
Well,
Where's
they did. Remember, they did like a fundraiser through their viewers. They were like, "Hey, donate money to us. We're going to hire a bunch of investigative journalists." And then they they raised a bunch of money, fired all their investigative journalists, and then they signed the Katzenberg deal. What the really? And then you want me to send you some more money? No, that's not how that works. I'd rather send my money to Convo Couch or, like you guys said, mutual aid or something. Like, I'm gonna real independent media who's not giving you MSNBC light. Go support the shit that they're doing. That's what we need. Like, we need people who are talking outside of they're trying to control the entire narrative. You guys, they want to take. That's what Julian Assange is about. That's what all of the attacks against journalists have been about. That's they're getting beat up at protests. They're getting arrested, detained, photographed, all that stuff. That's what that's about. They don't want you to, they want to control every ounce of narrative that you are allowed to consume. And that should terrify fucking everybody. That's scary shit.
Yeah. And I want to let everybody know, even with Sam Cedar is a part of Peacock, and Peacock is a part of NBC. Yet over 1 million people listen to this dude and take his word as if it's gold. So
he's a paid contributor, like on MSNBC. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But he's your friend, I'm sure.
Like, they don't want to give up their privilege. Like, they don't want to give up their privilege. They don't want to give up their comfort. They don't want to give up their wealth. They don't want to actually give up the power that is given to them by being white, wealthy people in this country, because they know that if we have the working class revolution, like that they pretend to support, that they lose their power and their leverage in the system. That their access to power, to whatever politicians they think that are going to give them whatever deals or whatever money they think they're going to have, that is going to be gone, because we're going to start to replace those people when we have a working class revolution. We're going to have to replace this system. Where are y'all going to be at? What side are you on? Are you going to really fight against people's human rights? Are you going to fight against people that are dying in this country? Are you going to fight against Black people that need this? Overall, just deserve better, considering how much we have invested in this country, not only in money, but in blood. And indigenous people that invested their land. What about them? I'm tired of these white elite ass liberals saying they support us, saying that they're fighting for us, and actually co-opting our language and watering it down, telling us what is too much, telling us that shit is too radical. Things that we are going to push for are never going to be popular. But that's the point. We're supposed to change the culture. We're supposed to change the conversation. We're supposed to inform people of why this is a good idea, why it's a good idea to actually rely on your community, other than just relying on whatever imaginary wealth you think you're going to accumulate out of a system that is built against you. Like, I hate them. I hate Sam Cedar. I hate TYT. I hate them.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I really do. And it's just, and it's not even like a personal thing. It's just what they do is gross. They misinform their audience in some of the most they're so just banal about it. You know what I mean? And he's boring, and it's just, yeah. Like, I just have a real distaste for that whole scene of like Brooklynite journalistic, like they're pseudo intellectual, pseudo leftist. They think they're really smart hipster white guys. You know what I mean? There's a lot of them There's a lot of them. And that's why, like, I mean, it pisses me off a little bit, not a little bit, a lot, that there's so much focus on all these white dudes. And there's tons of amazing, like, I mean, y'all at Fred Hampton are doing amazing work. Nico's doing amazing work. Fiorella at Combo Couch is doing amazing work. Like, there's tons of other voices that people could be listening to, and they go listen to Sam Cedar. And I mean, that's when I start to, like you said, that's when you start to question, are you really an ally? Are you really in this fight? And I think it's just, I mean, privilege blinds you in a lot of ways. And also it's fear. Like, they're afraid, they're scared. You know what I mean? And part of me can understand a little bit like that subconscious fear, because it's been, I mean, they're brainwashed too. I mean, they just don't know any better. I think a lot of them, but it's the ones that I think that are doing it intentionally, like the Medicare, like all these trolls and stuff that are doing it. Medicare. I mean, and then my favorite thing is they've recently started talking about how they really hope that all of these marches doesn't damage the fight for Medicare for all. You know what damages the fucking fight for Medicare for all? Y'all starting all this drama and doing this whole Nazi bit and equating Nazism to healthcare. And the fuck were you thinking? I mean, really? That's what damages the fight for healthcare. That right there. Not having 44 marches across the country. Real talk. That's what happens.
Not fighting for it damages the movement. Not forcing the vote when y'all had the leverage to do so damages the movement. Not actually standing on what you said and what we fundraised and organized for you for damages the movement, because then people don't fucking believe you. And then they won't believe us. Because who the fuck are we? They worked for you. They fundraised for you. They believed in you, and you let them the fuck down. So who the fuck are we? You do, like, they just don't understand how much damage they do when they do not actually stand on their promises, especially when it comes to a system that is consistently shit on people over and over and over again.
Yeah, I want a refund. Like, I want my money back. This is day 2 of me saying I want my money back, because my husband told me last night, I said, I don't want to, look and see how much I donated to, like, especially to, like, Bernie. He told me last night, he was like, the estimate is roughly a couple hundred. I was like, no, I didn't want to know. Like, no. So
I donated a lot to Bernie, and it wasn't even because I thought like he was everything. And what we used to say when we were kids, all that in a bag of chips, right? Like, no, I didn't think that. God, I just aged myself. That's all right. But yeah, I didn't think he was like, going to be like the leftiest that ever lefted, and, it was going to save us from, everything, and everything was going to be like a socialist utopia. No, I was very realistic about who he was, but I thought maybe he still had a little bit of that like 1980s, like 1960s through 1980s Bernie in him. And maybe we could like scoot it back in the other direction just enough to where we wouldn't fall over the cliff, And I was willing to fight for that. Like, I phone banked for that motherfucker. I went out and volunteered. I met a bunch of people. Like, I went to a rally. Like, I did all those things for Bernie Sanders. And that's what pisses me off, because that dude just walked off the field, and WikiLeaks showed you that 100% you were cheated. It was rigged. No questions asked. There's and he won't even talk about it. Not only will he not talk about it, he won't even say Julian Assange's name. He won't even say his fucking name. He's been in a high security prison being tortured. He's been tortured for over a decade, but he's being tortured in Belmarsh for over 2 years now. Bernie Sanders has not once said his name. And that's disgusting. I can't, you know what I mean? Like, the way that he just I met people volunteering for Bernie who would like skip meals to send him $10 a week. And he didn't fight at all for them. And they deserve better than that. We all deserve better than that from our politicians. We all deserve better than AOC turning her back on Palestinians and turning her back on Medicare for all and turning her back on, and then just being like a super imperialist, like, piece of shit who still hasn't said anything about the 2 illegal bombings in Syria, who deferred to caucus leadership on a coup in Venezuela, who still isn't talking about Cuba. I mean, this is your progressive hero. I want no part of it. Sorry, I'm out. I'm out on all that.
No, you're absolutely right, because I definitely feel you that we're all much further left than Bernie is. We all acknowledge that. We're all much further left than he is. And he was the compromise, as he's literally the only one that we had. It's like, okay, this is our one shot. Bernie, you're our one shot. Let's do this thing. So let's get it done. And the fact that he still kowtows to the Democratic Party after everything that they put him through, blaming him.
Put us through. Fuck him. What they are doing to his supporters. I don't give a shit about Bernie Sanders. But what they're doing to us, gaslighting us, taking our money, using it to elect ridiculous ass corporate Democrats who are backed by the CIA. That's the shit that they're doing to us. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's what pisses me off. Fuck Bernie.
Absolutely.
I don't care what they do to him. I don't give two shits. You're in a position of power. You're a senator. You're wealthy. You have health care. I don't care. What are you doing for us? And what are you not doing that's causing us to be harmed? And him not fighting and standing up for us, because it was us that got cheated, not just him. It was us, the people who like fought for him, voted for him, worked for him, canvassed for him, phone bank, donated, all of that stuff. So
100%. Yeah. And the fact that he has not pushed back against Biden even once. He has not pushed back against Biden even once when he said that we would be fighting from day one. If Joe Biden got in, we'd be fighting from day one. We'd be pushing for all these things. Where's the fight? Where the fuck is the fight, guys? Like, why couldn't we force a vote on Nancy Pelosi? Why couldn't we be pushing back? Why couldn't we be blocking the bill, the COVID bill, in order to get $15 minimum wage? These are desperate times, and desperate times call for desperate measures. You need to be fighting. There is no fight.
But see, that was the problem about having a politician lead a movement, because when Bernie lost, it was just like, okay, you told us we're supposed to fight. So are we just supposed to stop fighting because you lost? So there are some of us, like us sitting here, we're still fighting. And then there's another group, another segment that's just like, you know what? I'm just happy that Trump's gone. Let me just go back to brunch. And I feel like Bernie has went back to brunch with them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. When you said that, what do you do, or what, like, you told us to fight, and now, like, what do we? I remember this moment in the 2016 at the DNC convention, and I think Debbie Wasserman Schultz was trying to give a speech or some shit, and she kept getting booed, and they had Bernie come out to like try to calm everybody down, and then he got booed, like, fuck you. And I'm like, it's like he gave a bunch of kids like a shit ton of Mountain Dew, and then was like trying to tell them to calm down. That's what it felt like, you know what I mean? Because you don't get to just turn that off, dude. And what drives me the most nuts, and what, people making excuses for him, he did that for the people that he claimed, like, they're the personification of everything he claimed to be fighting against. Hillary Clinton is everything. I mean, you couldn't get like a more perfect representation of everything that's wrong with American politics. And that was everything he claimed to be fighting against. And he was just like, oh, just kidding, vote for her. No, dude, that's not how that works. You don't get to know. And, a lot of people will try to excuse that. And then for him, I was already done with them in 2016. But then for him to do it again in 2020, the exact same thing for Captain Crime Bill, all while telling you that he's a decent man and his good friend, and you're still going to try to tell me that Bernie's a good dude. Bernie's not a good dude. Good people don't do that shit. Good people don't gaslight millions of people to vote against their own best interests. That's not a thing. I mean, you may like his persona that he puts on out there, but that ain't real. Like, you don't get to call yourself a good person when you take millions of dollars from millions of people, knowing you have no intention whatsoever of actually fighting for them. I mean, 2020 couldn't have been more apparent. He walked off the field without even a whimper. I mean, he was just like, no, he didn't even go into it with like fight at all. Like, he went in like with barely a whimper. I was like, yeah, I guess I'm going to run for president again, do some rallies, whatever. And then he's out. Like, he had no fight whatsoever this time around. And people are still defending him. It's just unbelievable. And they're doing it with the squad too. They told everybody, we can't do force the vote because $15 an hour. This is a direct quote from AOC, because $15 an hour is more doable. Okay. Couple months later, the fight for $15 comes around, and where the fuck were they? There was no fight. They didn't even make a whisper about it. There was nothing. They just, okay, nope, can't do that either. And y'all still defend them. We are in the middle of a fucking pandemic, like an economic crisis, and you all are making excuses for people in power who are not doing shit about it. It's disgusting. Sorry, that was really ranty.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
I got like to the end of that and I was like, Jesus, you just went off, girl. Calm down. I do that sometimes.
And that was perfect. That was perfect.
No, because it's like, I'm so sick and tired of seeing Hillary Clinton's face. It's years later. This woman is still going on to talk shows saying, well, you know, if it wasn't for Bernie Sanders, I'm like, this woman still can't get over the fact that she lost. It's years later. She wrote a book about this. This is how delusional this woman is. She wants to blame everybody else but herself. A lot of people do not like Hillary Clinton.
With good reason.
Yeah. So I know people that like Bill Clinton that can't stand Hillary Clinton. This woman is unlikable. She's what Simon on American Idol would call, remember he used to say, some people have that it factor, that the likability factor. She does not have that.
Zero.
Yeah. And I feel like we can definitely say something similar about our Madam Vice President, who got 0 delegates. Is still in power. She's no charisma. No charisma whatsoever.
Y'all, she's going to be president. She got no delegates. And like, there's a real chance that Joe Biden will not finish out his term for whatever reason. And she will become president after she had to drop out because she was coming in 5th in her home state. She's, you know, unlikable for Hillary Clinton but I mean, Hillary Clinton, there's like lots of, like, she has a long history. I mean, Kamala Harris does too, but it's like on a lesser scale. You know, she wasn't quite a war criminal yet, where she's not quite, you know, at that point. She is now. But yeah, so yeah, and she creeps me out because I mean, Hillary does too. They're both they're very similar actually. So, like, there's nothing there, y'all. There's no soul. There's nothing. They don't care about anything or anybody but themselves, and it's apparent.
I
don't know. It's just like, when are we gonna dig our heels?
Go ahead, Afine.
I'm just saying, when are we gonna dig our heels in? Like, when are we actually gonna like stand up and?
I wish I knew the answer to that question.
Actually be aggressive, because y'all didn't get any committee assignments. Katie Porter actually lost her seat on the Financial Services Committee. Y'all didn't get 7 May.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Her audio is bad.
Yeah. I know the pain of a bad internet connection.
Yeah, me too. I just got decent internet, so
I'm getting mine tomorrow.
Okay, mine was really bad. Like, Sleepy Josh laughed at me when I told him. He made me do like a little speed test thing and then laughed at me. So it was really bad. It's decent now. I got decent internet now. But yeah, go ahead, Afeni. What were you trying to say before your audio? Yeah, we can hear you now. It just felt like it was just glitchy for a minute.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know. We have to organize outside of the government. Clearly, we see that every single person that gets absorbed into the machine, they change, because that's what the Beltway pressure does. People are probably scared to death because whatever threats they've made behind closed doors have made them think like, oh, well, I have to be in this for the long game, instead of saying like, you know, be one term because fuck y'all. I don't want to be around y'all anyway. I just want to actually deliver on some of the promises that I made. And you don't think that will leave room for somebody that's farther to the left of you and farther to the left? We're going to continue people are going to continue to vote for people that actually inspire some type of confidence in them. Like, we cannot continue to vote for people that don't give a shit. And that's the reason why Hillary Clinton's not popular, because Hillary Clinton was racist. And we all knew that. Hillary Clinton was deeply unpopular. We all knew that. Hillary Clinton was against gay marriage for the longest time. And
until it was politically advantageous.
Yeah. Like, and I'm pretty sure she's still probably against gay marriage.
Right. And let's not even forget that she also shamed many of her husband's rape victims.
Yes. And the whole, what am I going to do? Stay home and bake cookies? Like, she was kind of, you know, a twat, yeah, she's just deeply unlikable. And she has like really terrible political instincts too. But like, I think the problem that we have is that in our current system, we tend to elevate like the absolute worst among us to positions of power. And so, I mean, I'm a big fan of getting rid of positions of power entirely, but if we're going to have them, we need to figure out how to not send like complete psychopaths into those positions. Because that's what we do now. I mean, this is a woman who was willing to destroy Libya for her career. I mean, that's literally, she wanted to bolster her foreign policy experience for her next run for president. That's what Libya was for her. And she destroyed the, the country that was in the, what is the word I'm looking for? My brain just froze entirely. But yeah, it's like the most prosperous, I think is the word I was looking for. It was like, the best, doing the best in Africa. And now there's literal slave markets on the streets of Libya. And that was because Hillary Clinton wanted to get another notch on her belt for her presidential run in 2020. And that's just gross. I mean,
and she still lost to Donald Trump.
So, yeah.
Barack Obama won a Nobel Peace Prize and then bombed another Peace Prize winner.
Insanity.
What is that?
Yeah, but so Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris, in my mind, are what Mary Barfoot called escalator women. So escalator women are women who step on other women, who use the guise of feminism and weaponize identity for their own self-promotion, for their own gains. And then once they get to the top, they don't do anything to actually help the feminist movement. They do nothing to help other women. They're all in it for themselves. They're just using feminism for their own purposes. And it's disgusting. It's just gross. And those are the type of women that I will never support.
You can add Elizabeth Warren to that list too.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Like weaponizing an event, like as minuscule as that was, of that conversation between her and Bernie and whatever it is that she interpreted him saying, the fact that she weaponized that, and this kind of reminds me too, like I compare what Elizabeth Warren did to Bernie Sanders to what Anna Kasparian is doing now to Jimmy Dore, of using that moment. Like, what did that moment have to do
disgusting.
What did it have to do with whatever was happening in that moment? She brought it up only to stop Bernie's momentum. Yeah, that's the only reason she brought it up. Like, if it had come up in a different type of conversation, then maybe people would have taken it a little bit more seriously. But the fact that she used it in such a grotesque way, when she knew she was on her way out, Bernie was on the rise, but instead of supporting her friend, she had to get in one jab in order to really undercut him. Because
they need better friends.
The only way.
They need better friends. Like Bernie's friends with Elizabeth Warren, who stabs him in the back, and Bernie's friends with Joe Biden. Y'all, if Joe Biden is your friend, you need better friends. Really.
Who needs enemies when you have friends like these?
Seriously. Can you imagine? I could not ever imagine a situation where I would ever be willing to call somebody like Joe Biden my friend. Ever. He's a war criminal. Like a legit, real talk war criminal. Many times over. And no, that's not my friend. That's just a weird thing. But that's what Washington, like we said earlier, I don't remember who said it, but Washington changes you. You get in there and it's, you become part of it. You become part of that system. But yeah, I'm glad you brought Anna up too, because and Sabrina, you had some really good analysis on this too. I loved watching your video that you did. It's been maybe a couple weeks, or it was kind of when it first started, but you had some great analysis on this. But yeah, just the shit where that was obvious fucking blackmail. That was obvious blackmail. And to use that, and people will get mad and say that, oh, well, I can't believe that he said that what she was wearing is inappropriate. Listen, in the workplace, you shouldn't be subjecting your subordinates to being flashed by you every time you bend over. That is inappropriate. Like, that's not you really, and your students, like, you're in a position of power and you're going to flash them. But all of a sudden, because Jimmy says it about a woman, that's everybody wants to freak out about that. And that's not to say that like she can't dress that way out, but you can't like just subject people to that's sexual harassment, really. Flashing everybody every time you bend over. Like, your subordinates shouldn't have to be subjected to that in their workplace. And so everybody that was freaking out about how everybody was trying to like slut shame her or whatever. No, they weren't. And yes, he did handle it clumsily for sure, but he was being fucking blackmailed. I mean, I don't know why anybody does not see the very obviousness of that. I mean, she wasn't even, sly about the way she worded her DM. It was very clearly, you need to shut the fuck up, or I'm going to tell everybody about that time that you wrote me a card about this thing that you said. And that's gross, because that's, weaponizing sexual harassment claims in like a post Me Too era where that will destroy someone's life potentially.
Yep.
I mean, full on. That's gross that you would do that.
And also, too, what people have to keep in mind is that she was his boss. She was actually the one in the position of power. So if this bothered her that much and she said it was as bad as it was, then why didn't she fire him? And then even later on, she invited him to her wedding. So if she was so, they
were still friendly for years after it.
Thank you. But she was the one who was in the position of power. So if it was that offensive as she says it was, why didn't she fire him? No, she did not. She let him to continue to stay on there because it wasn't what she was trying to make it. She's trying to make it that way now to save herself. Because TYT, I don't know if you guys been paying attention, but their numbers,
it's bad.
Yeah.
Oh, the fall from grace has been hard. Ouch. Painful. Yeah. I mean, in Jimmy Dore's, I don't hate to shove this in their faces. He's getting like 15K every live stream and they're getting a couple hundred.
Yeah, that's craziness. But even the fact that she brought up this event when I'm not going to say anything about Anna just because, say what you want about her skirt. Like, we can all agree that it was probably inappropriate for her to wear that type of skirt at work. And like, we can all agree on that. But I'm not going to say anything about like her perception of, having been sexually harassed. Like, I'm not going to say anything about that just because, I've been sexually harassed at work and I know it's not fun. But I don't believe, even though I don't agree with her, that's what happened. If that's how she perceives it, that's her business. And I'm not going to say anything more on that. But the fact that she did weaponize it later on, when it seemed like it was, the air was cleared, he apologized. He gave her a letter apologizing because he recognized.
Do you know how many apologies I've gotten when I've been sexually harassed? Zero.
Right? Like,
none.
How many men?
Not even my friends.
How many men actually acknowledge the fact that they did these actions? Not very many actually acknowledge that. And I think we, as women, we've all experienced that type of harassment. And they just say, oh, no, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. It's like, oh, it's not that serious. They just minimize. The fact that he recognized that he embarrassed her, that she felt like that she had felt harassed, he apologized to her for embarrassing her, for making that comment. Not many men do that. So to think that she had to later bring this up and weaponize it to distract from the fact that she was smearing a journalist, to distract that she was doing shitty journalism. That's the only thing that they were attacking her for. They were only commenting on her poor journalism, the fact that she was smearing another journalist. And so because they were running their mouths, as she said, she decides to bring up a sexual harassment claim. Mm-hmm. That is a bullshit way of doing it. It's like, if this was really such a big deal, if there were more cases, why were these not brought up in another circumstance? And that's not to say that,
well, look at what they did on air.
Right?
And again, that's why I don't care about her saying it's sexual harassment. Honestly, right. I don't, because she sexually harassed a lot of women. True. I mean, they played guess the vagina or what camel toe or what the fuck ever it was, and looking up Britney Spears' skirt. They posted revenge porn on their website. Anna participated in that, so you don't get to create that kind of environment and then be like, "Oh, Jimmy sexually harassed me." What?
Right?
You can. Sorry, you don't get to play victim when that's the way you behave. You, what you allow is what you're going to get. You know what I'm saying? And she was sexually harassed on air by Jank many times. They made her go to a mall and like trick some dude into buying shoes for her. And she like actively participated in that for years. And to me, I have no sympathy for you. None whatsoever. Like, that's ridiculous. And especially when the dude apologized to you. Did you go apologize to the guy that you tricked into buying shoes for you? Because I bet you didn't. Did you go apologize to Britney Spears? Because I bet you didn't. Did you go apologize to Vanessa Hudgens for posting an 18-year-old's nude revenge porn on your website? Like, that's, to me, one of the grossest things you could do. Arguably, it's potential that she could have been underage when those pictures were taken. And they posted them on their website and talked about them on their show and slut-shamed her. slut shamed her because she had made some offhanded comment on some talk show discussing Britney Spears and Lindsay Lohan getting their crotches photographed all the time. And she said something like, well, I would just avoid those situations. And then revenge porn is put out of her, and Jink decides to slut shame her. And then, but you're going to get mad at Jimmy Dore for nice new skirt? Fuck off. That's just, no, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. A teenager's revenge porn. A teenager's revenge porn. You're disgusting.
These people are so fake, man. Yeah, it's like Anna reminds me of like, remember 80s Madonna, like a virgin Madonna, and Madonna was like Vogue and all that cool stuff. That was the more like, I don't know if you want to call it raunchy or whatever, but the more provocative Madonna, right? Mm-hmm. And then Madonna had different phases. Every album she came out with was a different type of style. Mm-hmm. And at one point she got to this point where in her career where she was the prudish, the prude Madonna. That's like Anna. It's like she went from being like a virgin Madonna to like the prude Madonna. Now she's too good for those things. These people are just fake, man.
Real talk. And I don't care. Like if you grow, that's great. People grow as, and everybody, like I've said dumb shit in the past, and I've, done dumb shit in the past. And I'm like a very, I'm not PC person. And so, I mean, I'm sure that there's been dumb stuff that's come out of my mouth before that I would be, horribly ashamed to, but I don't like deny that. And I don't try to act holier than thou. And then, we don't want those people in our audience. And, and, while the whole time during that time frame, you were participating in the worst behavior than anything that has been described about what Jimmy did, even if he did all of the things that she said and constantly said stuff about her legs being nice and all of that stuff. When you're actively participating in that stuff on camera, like on your, producing shows to body shame, slut shame, objectify other women, and then you're surprised when people objectify you, what do you expect? You're telling people that that's acceptable. Mm-hmm.
And maybe she should spend a little less time telling Rania Khalek to fact check and more time doing some consciousness raising to unlearn her own inherent sexism.
Ooh. Yeah. And we all do have inherent sexism. We just do. We live in a patriarchy. It's unavoidable. It's like everybody, all white people are inherently a little bit racist. Like everybody, I'm sorry if that offends you, but that's true. We all, it's been, just ingrained in us. And that if we're conscious of it, we can work to change that. If we deny it, it will perpetuate. And it's okay to admit that. It's okay to say that out loud. You're not going to change anything you don't acknowledge. And that's what drives me nuts. Like these people who pretend like because I'm willing to talk to white racist people, that somehow that makes me a Nazi. No, that makes me an ally. That makes me somebody who recognizes that I have the ability to go into white spaces and talk to white people and try to change opinions. And it's the height of white privilege when white people get mad at me because I'm willing to do that. What are you doing? What you're going to just pretend like that doesn't exist? Like that's not your problem? Of course it's your fucking problem. Of course it is. You don't get to just like, nope, I'm too good for that. No, hell no. Get in there and do something. And it's not easy, but it's your job. That's your responsibility. It's not up to Black people to do that or Mexican people to do that or Asian people to do that. That's up to white people. And it just drives me fucking crazy. It's this like ridiculous hypocritical double standard bullshit where they want to seem like they're just above all of this stuff. They don't want to put in any of the work. They're hashtaggers, everyththing's a hashtag to them. Hashtag Black Lives Matter, but they're not willing to do any of the fucking work to make sure that Black lives actually matter, Like it's just a hashtag to them.
Amen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, it's about changing culture. And the Young Patriots stood in solidarity with the Black Panthers by dismantling racist attitudes within racist white neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. That's what they did. That's how they organized their working class revolution. And that's what made them so dangerous. That's what made the Rainbow Coalition so dangerous to the government, because they were actually starting to change the culture around politics and what a government is actually supposed to be doing for its people. How many people are actually starving, regardless of race? Yes, race has a big thing to do with it, but to be able to make those connections and see those intersections is important. And it is up to anti-racist white people to talk to white people that are racist. Because I know myself personally, the only thing I have to say to a Nazi is "fuck you." Like I don't have any.
I don't know if I could not. I don't know if I could do Nazis without getting into a fight. I could try. I would be willing to try a conversation. I don't know if I could do that, but like, just there's a lot of room between like Bernie Sanders and actual Nazi. There's a lot of people in here that we could be trying to reach. You know what I mean? That's what I don't know if I could do Nazis.
But I'm just saying, like, it's not my job. Like any of those, like, you know, weirdly white supremacist right-wing men, that's not my job to take you out of your white supremacy or to help you unlearn or dismantle your whiteness. That is another white person's job, to be aware enough of their whiteness to dismantle white supremacy within their own relationships. Like, so the fact that, you know, the elite boutique left feels like they don't have to reach out and do that lets me know as a Black person that you're not actually standing in solidarity with me. Lets me know as a working class person that you're not serious about actually getting the rights and the earnings that workers deserve in this country, considering this is the richest country in the world and children still starve. We have hundreds of thousands of people that are fucking on the street right now.
And more to come. Lots more are coming. Lots more are coming. Evictions are about to get crazy. And it's not going to be good. And actually, I'm on your show the other day, I think you guys were talking about this kind of, and everybody expects, I think especially Black women, everybody expects Black women to be teachers to everybody. And that's really unfair. I think that white people, that's just like really unfair. It's not, you need to educate yourself and then go into your own families, communities, whatever, and do the work, you know? And a lot of people think they're above it, but then want to be your ally, like want to be an ally. And it's weird.
But again, it some of it goes back to those social circles. And we were talking about this last night. JB had sent this video to me, and the channel is Blue Moon Red Wine. And she had this video posted where she was talking about how some of these people that say that they're leftists, why is it that when it's time to really fight for these issues, they kind of, you know, stand back and don't actually fight for it when it's not convenient for them to do so. And she was talking about how it's connected to their social circles, that they care more about their social circles and maintaining that than they do about actually fighting for those issues. Because if the people in their social circles are not for it, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go along with that social circle. And this is why it's important for people, and Afeni and I discussed this last night as well, you really need to see the difference between liberals and leftists. And that's something I've noticed about liberals. Like, they'll agree with us on some of the issues, but if you ask them to come out and fight for it, if you ask them to make changes in their everyday life so that people can have these types of things happen, everybody else can have it, they're not willing to go that far. They're not willing to give up brunch. They're not willing to give up, you know, the weekends at the country club. They want people to have those things, but they don't want their life disrupted or to be inconvenienced in any way, shape, or form. That's not an ally. And I want people to understand that and know that there is a difference for the people who are willing to go to bat with you and the people who are like, yeah, I agree with you, but sit back and don't do anything.
Yes. Yes, that's what I mean. It's a hashtag. They're hashtag activists, you know, like the closest they get to activism is attacking actual activists. You know what I'm saying? Like if we go back to the Medicare for All trolls, if they would spend half the time they spend bitching on actually organizing, imagine what they could get done. We could have like another 40 some odd rallies happening easily. Very easily. Or the rallies that we have already, the 44 that are happening right now, could be even bigger if they would, you know, just actually do some work and quit making it like this bitch fest.
Yeah. And don't wait until an issue is popular or gains popularity to then come on and talk about it. See, that's something I pay very close attention to too. And we talked about this as well last night. How many people, all those people who talked about like police brutality back when, you know, the George Floyd incident and the protests were going on, how many of them are still talking about police brutality now? Police brutality didn't stop. We've had more cases of police brutality in this country since George Floyd. How many of them? Yeah, how many of these people are still talking about Medicare for all after Force the Vote didn't go through? How many of them are still talking about it now?
The progressive politicians they worship aren't even talking about it. They've moved on to expanding Medicare and access. They're saying, Nina Turner is saying access. Everybody needs access to healthcare. And y'all are still going to get mad at me when I criticize her? Really? I mean, it drives me fucking nuts. These people aren't your friends. They don't work for you. I don't know how much more clear they could make it. They have capitulated at every turn. And there's still this huge group of people that thinks that they're on your team. And they're not on your team at all. Well, I guess they kind of are, because these are people who don't want change. They don't legitimately want change. To them, it's like a cult of personality. They want, like, it's, like AOC or, whatever. They're like, if, back in the 90s, it's like, they're like the cover of the Tiger Beat magazine or whatever. And everybody's got like their picture, like a poster on their wall. And it's about being like a fangirl for politicians. And you should never fangirl a politician ever. You can't trust any of those fuckers. And I have told politicians this to their faces. Christina Livio is a great example. People were shocked that I told her to her face, but I was just being honest. She's running for office. She came to our Assange rally. She seemed like a really awesome person. And I told her, hey, listen, I like you as a person, but as a politician, I don't trust you. And I will side eye you every day if you get elected. And, I'm just being real with you. I told Steve Cox the same thing. I told Shahid Buttar the same thing. You can run for office. And I love Shahid Buttar. I think he's an amazing person. I find him extremely fascinating. I love his story. He's like mesmerizing. Like, I could listen to him all day long. Right. And, but if you get elected, I will side eye you every fucking day of your existence. Every day I will watch, and every day I will try to, make sure that check your voting record and you watch your rhetoric and see what you're doing and who you're fighting with and who you're talking about, and all of that stuff. And everybody should be doing that. Do you understand the level of influence that Washington brings on these people? You will get co-opted. That's the point we were talking about earlier. Electoral politics ain't it anyway. And Shahid and I get into fights about this all the time. Both times I've interviewed him, we've had to have this conversation, because electoral politics ain't it. That's not going to get you the change that you need. It's going to take direct action in the streets, mass public pressure. That's how we are going to get anything done. We've been trying to tell people this about Julian Assange forever. And that's what it's going to take. Mass public pressure. They are not going to do anything you want by you being nice to them and coddling them and making excuses for them. Are you joking? You really think that you're going to get healthcare by don't you dare say a bad word about Nina Turner? Are you joking me right now? You have to go after them all the time. They need to be pressured relentlessly, because there is a lot of power, a lot of pressure, and a lot of money being thrown at them. And the only way you can combat that is by being in their face all day, every day, period.
Right. Power concedes nothing without demand. Yeah. That's all you have to say, because that's the truth.
It's a saying for a reason.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We need the industries and fighting for it every minute of every single day. And we should not be shutting up. And I think to add on to the conversation about even the difference between liberals and leftists, I mean, there are very clear delineations that people just don't recognize. Like the fact that liberals are reformers. They just want to tweak the edges. Mm-hmm. They don't want to tear down the table and tear down the pillars of class elitism, of patriarchy, of racism, of imperialism that hold up that table. They just want to sand it down and give it a new paint job. That's all they want to do. But every now and again, you can tweak the table a little bit, maybe, fix it up, make it a little nicer. But
my friend Steve Wakeman says it's a machine that's designed to kill you, and every 2 to 4 years you put a couple shiny new parts on it, but it's still designed to kill you.
Exactly. All they are, liberals are reformers because they want to keep the status quo mostly intact, and leftists are revolutionaries. We want to tear it down. Mm-hmm. We want to abolish capitalism. Liberals want to keep capitalism. Liberals are okay with imperialism. Leftists want to get rid of imperialism. That's what delineates us. If you're okay with just changing things, if you're okay with just tweaking around the edges, you are not a leftist. You are a liberal. So get that through your head.
And the problem is Bernie Sanders convinced a lot of people that they're leftists when they're just hipster liberals.
Yep.
And that's it. They're just hipster liberals. They're liberals who think it's cool to be left. So they claim that identity and they think that they, know what they're talking about. And they've read theories. So they think that they're like experts on leftism. But they don't practice any of the shit that they're supposed to be practicing at all. And imperialism's a huge one for me. That one's non-negotiable. We're not even entering into a conversation. It is non-negotiable. We have to shut that shit down now for like a multitude of reasons, but like blowing babies up is really just not something I'm ever going to be cool with for any reason, but especially not for like profit. Fuck you. We're not doing that. Like that should be non-negotiable for everybody, Yeah.
And then when people say, on Twitter, people are like, oh, we need to still support like Justice Democrats. Do not come to me and ask me to give any kind of support to Justice Democrats. Because they too, after Biden won, they showed us who they really are. Mm-hmm. I'm not donating any money to them. I don't think you should donate money to them. Again, like Afeni said, take that same money and donate it to mutual aid groups. All these people are frauds. And people ask about Nina Turner, and it's like, look, I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong.
I would love to be wrong,
but I don't think I will be.
Mm-mm. Right. And that's the thing. Like, go ahead, Afeni.
I'm saying, you want strong Black radical people to represent you, because honestly, I'm a strong Black radical person who wants to see somebody that speaks like me, that actually fights the way I do, in a position of power. I would absolutely love that for one of them to actually mean one freaking thing they say.
Just one.
But it's
I
just
would love it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that organizing outside of the government, donating to mutual aid, relying on your community, showing them that truly we keep us safe and we don't fucking need y'all. We're not going to keep giving you our money because we know that you don't fight for us, but we know that we can fight for each other. We can rely on each other. So that's the reason why, like, donate to mutual aid. Donate to mutual aid, because no one's going to love you like your community is going to love you. No one's going to love like the people that are closest to you. And like, I'm so tired of having to throw all of my effort behind these people that might not actually stand on anything that they say. Because this shit is real life for me. And every single policy that they decide to pass up on is real life for a lot of other people. And people's lives are not getting better. They're actually getting worse. Our earth is burning. And y'all are playing patty cakes about our infrastructure bill that should be bipartisan with people that don't even believe that climate change is real. These people don't even believe that climate change is real. And even if they think climate change is real, they're outside pretending like it is not. The ocean was on fire. And guess who is going to be affected by that? Black and brown and indigenous people that live on coastal cities and on islands. And what are they going to do? They're going to migrate. They're going to migrate to this xenophobic ass country. They're going to migrate to any of the other xenophobic ass colonizing settler colonialism ass countries. No, because they're not going to let them. So then what? What do we do when all of the people that say that they're supposed to care about us and care about our earth don't actually do anything about it? We do it on our own. Period.
Yeah, that's the only way we're going to get it. I mean, and climate change is a great fucking example. I mean, we just, Robbie Yeager broke the Colonial Pipeline leak story. Huge story. It's like it could potentially be the largest gas leak in American history. It is up there already. It's like, but here's the thing. They don't even fucking know how much spilled. They have no idea. And they have no idea if they even can ever have an idea. Like they have like this indefinite extension and all of this shit. And we tried to get a hold of Bill McKibben, Greta Thunberg, AOC, Bernie Sanders. AOC wrote the fucking Green New Deal. It is a watered down corporate giveaway bullshit ass resolution, not even a piece of legislation that doesn't even mention fracking or the military industrial complex. If your environmentalism doesn't include the military industrial complex, it isn't serious. You're not a serious person. That's not a serious thing. You cannot address environmentalism without, that's number one. That should be your number one thing, is completely ending imperialism, completely ending the military industrial complex. End of story. We are in the year 2021 and grown ass adults are still blowing shit up. for like profit and to like solve their problems. That's how we're conducting ourselves. Like we raise our kids and like don't hit your friends, but then the people in charge are blowing shit up for money. That doesn't make any fucking sense. We are grown ass adults. I think we can figure out a way to coexist on this planet and not kill each other. I think that humanity, it can do that. I can figure that out, and I'm not all that smart. So surely we can figure out a way to coexist on the planet and cooperate and not murder each other over land and oil. It's fucking dumb. We need to stop doing it. But no, you can't get these people to talk about it. The Green New Deal doesn't even mention the military industrial complex. That's how people still are like, we need the Green New Deal. No, we don't. No, we don't. That's like a Band-Aid on a broken leg. No, thank you. If you want to come at me with the Green Party's Green New Deal, we can talk then maybe. It's pretty solid. But that's still even just like a starting point if you're serious about the environment. Like but the AOC's Green New Deal is garbage. Real talk. It's not even, come on. And people get mad when I say that. I don't care. It's garbage. It's not serious. It's not even a piece of legislation. It's a resolution. And what has she done with it? Does anybody know? Has she done anything to like fight for it or like get, things really moving on? Not really. No. I think they reintroduced it and then they like did this huge celebration in DC as there's a gas leak in North Carolina on a wildlife preserve that's, potentially one of the worst in history. And they're out there having a celebration because they reintroduced it. Good job, guys. Way to go. It's just fucking ridiculous. And then people wonder,
yeah, and then people wonder why, like some people in other countries have issues with Americans. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at what we do to some of these countries. Like we bomb everybody. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. And the one time, the moment someone comes after us, this is a global crisis. But we bomb people all the time outside of this country. And so when people like Joe Biden stand up there on stage and say we must stand with Israel, first of all, who's we?
Right?
Like,
fuck Israel.
You don't get to speak for the rest of us, Joe.
Fuck Israel. I'll say it. Fuck Israel. And that doesn't make me anti-Semitic, so shut the fuck up. I'm tired of hearing that shit. You don't get to commit genocide without me calling you out on it. So just get over it, okay? Fuck Israel.
Fuck Israel.
Sorry, that's like a real quick way to get me heated is to talk about how if I say fuckers or you're anti-Semitic. No, I would just prefer you not to murder a bunch of Palestinians. Okay, how about that? How about we start there? You stop murdering people, I'll stop saying fuck Israel. Deal? Is that a deal? Cool.
Amen.
I can work with that, but I'm not fucking anti-Semitic, and I'm tired of hearing that. They try to use it on Jeremy Corbyn, and he was such a wimp about it, and just like took it. Bernie Sanders took it. He's fucking Jewish. They called him anti-Semitic. He's a self-hating Jew, and he's just like, okay. I mean, really, dude? Come on. Drives me fucking nuts. Palestine is being destroyed. Like these people, I just watched a video of a man with his daughter consoling him as they are like tearing down their fucking house. And y'all want to like get mad at me for saying fuck Israel. I'll say it again. Fuck Israel.
Amen. No,
sorry,
you're
not sorry.
You're absolutely right. Considering like, I said earlier that they do not know how to handle a crisis because these are all crises. Climate change is a crisis. Our healthcare system is a crisis. What's happening in Gaza and the West Bank is a crisis. What's happening in Libya is a crisis. These are all crises, and they're doing absolutely nothing to solve any of it. They barely budged. Even as you said, like the Green New Deal does barely anything. But even Bernie's Green New Deal, which was $16 trillion, would only get us up to par. That would only fix the infrastructure up to par. That would not get us to...
Oh no, Meg.
She froze up. She gets better internet tomorrow, guys. She just said that. That's good. I remember when I got new internet, y'all. I talked about it for like a week. Yeah, you're back. There you are. I did. I bragged about it for like a week.
I know.
Listen, and you're gonna brag about it for like a week because it feels so good.
A month.
It'll be a month. Yeah. Okay. Listen. You earned it. Go for it.
You can
I know
hold
how frustrating it is.
Dad.
Yeah.
You can hold me
I'll
to that.
If I'm not bragging I'll hype you up.
If I'm not bragging about my new internet for an entire month, you can call me out on it.
All right. I'll hype you up. I'll be like, girl, you got good internet. Come on. Let's do it.
But yeah, But, kind of going back to what you and Sabby were even saying, it's like we want, I would love to believe that electoralism works. I would love to believe that. I would love to be proven wrong every single day of seeing, Joe Biden passed this bill, Joe Biden passed that bill, Congress passed this bill, AOC fighting for this cause, Bernie Sanders fighting for that cause, Squad fighting for this, and everybody working together to actually get these things done. But they're not proving us wrong. They're doing none of that. And so whenever people, call us out for calling out AOC or calling out Bernie, it's like, okay, what have they done? Tell me one thing. Tell me one that they've done. How is Joe Biden exceeding expectations? How about you tell me that? How about you tell me that? Explain to me what exactly he is doing to exceed expectations, except for being exceedingly bad. It's like, those are my expectations. Like, I was expecting him to be bad, but he's even worse than I imagined he would be.
He waited like 65 days to bomb Syria. I mean, he showed some restraint, right? He waited like 65 days, right? I mean, come on. And just give him time. He just got there, for goodness sakes. He's not even halfway through his first term. Oh, I'm so tired. I'm done with the excuses. I'm so done with this shit.
Misty, if it wasn't for the parliamentarian, we would have so much done if it wasn't for that.
A damn parliamentarian. It's like you got to just rip the mask off like Scooby-Doo. Like and if it weren't for you, your damn parliamentarians. Yeah.
Wasn't for you, dastardly parliamentarian, we would have Medicare for all.
Right? Oh, sweet Jesus.
Oh my God.
It's funny, like people say that because people tell me I'm impatient with this whole Biden thing. People said that to me too. They're like, you need to give him more time. I'm like, Joe Biden's been a politician for like 40 years.
47,
like,
right? 48 now.
Right. Like, we elected him with the idea that, he knows how to get things done.
He's experienced.
Well, why hasn't he done it?
He hasn't done shit other than really terrible shit. I mean, he hasn't done any, okay, that's not true, because they'll throw like little like shiny things at us every once, like even in the CARES Act, there was like some weird like unemployment nonsense that everybody's like, but Jimmy Dore, I'm kind of proud of him, because when he interviewed Ro Khanna, he hammered him on this and he called him straight out. He was like, because Ro Khanna did the thing that they do. They throw like that shiny thing into this really shitty bill so that politicians can go on TV and be like, yeah,
credits.
Yeah, the child tax credit or this thing, or I can't vote against that. Like, we need that. People need that. And that's how they justify voting for these shitty ass bills that destroy our communities. But Jimmy Dore straight up called him out. And I was like, yes, like that was the first time I was like, okay, Jimmy's on the right path. I mean, I'd been a fan of Jimmy. He's funny, he makes me laugh and all that good stuff. But when he said that, I was like, okay, he's getting it now. Like, he's getting it. Like, he's no longer just a comedian. He's on the right path. Like, he still could get a little bit more radicalized for me, but he's on the path, Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Biden in the past 47 years, what has he done? Author of civil forfeiture, done a couple crime bills, a lot of crime bills. He's locked a lot of people up. He's been extremely racist. He's opposed to busing. He's been best friends with Strom Thurmond, done his eulogy. Like, he's lied about being a part of the civil rights movement because, that's what normal people do for no reason. He's raped people. He's raped people, by the way. But we're supposed to clap for him because he wants to give the police yet another budget raise and call it George Floyd Act. Oh, clap, clap. Thank you. Thank you, Massa, for these crumbs that we again have to make excellence out of. And honestly, I'm tired of y'all crumbs. Like, I'm not taking them anymore. And yes, I'm going to continue to criticize Biden because we need to criticize Biden from the left. Because you know what? The Democratic Party needs to lose again. They need to get their asses kicked.
The Democratic Party needs to get demolished. The Republican Party needs to get demolished. People need to walk the fuck away from these institutions. Yeah. They don't work for you. All of those people, Democrat and Republican, they are owned and operated by the exact same people, period. There may be like a little bit of variance here and there because big oil gives more money to Republicans than they do Democrats, and big tech gives more money to Democrats than they do Republicans. And so there's a little bit of variance here and there. But generally speaking, those motherfuckers are owned by the exact same people. They don't work for you. They work for their donors, and everything else is a show. This whole fighting amongst Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, that's just not real. I guarantee you they are friendly, at least, cordial to each other. They work together. They all go to the same country club. They all play at the same golf, whatever. These people are not, they have no idea what's going on in our lives. They have no clue whatsoever. They are insulated. They are in their own bubble, and they don't give a shit about you. And I'm talking about your faves. Fuck your faves. They are all the same, period. These people have no idea. And the people who are telling you they're your friend, like, people get mad. Why don't you ever criticize Republicans? Well, first of all, I do. But second of all, lots of people are doing that right now. And thirdly, they didn't promise me shit. Republicans never promised me a goddamn thing. And so I'm going to go after the people who told me they were going to fight for me and are now doing diddly squat for me and for my friends and for my neighbors. So don't come at me like, oh, well, you should criticize Marjorie Taylor Greene. First of all, she's a circus sideshow. She's not serious. She's something that they like put in front of you to distract you from the shit that they're actually doing. That whole AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene bullshit, that is some soap opera with psychopaths. That has nothing to do with you. It doesn't help your way in any life, or it doesn't help your life in any way. And it has like, it's completely like ridiculous. It is surface level bullshit. And while they're distracting you with that, they're getting away with a lot of really terrible things. And nobody's paying attention to that. And that's what that's for. And I'm so tired of people being willingly distracted by this shit. That doesn't matter. That drama ass bullshit does not matter. Period. You need to be paying attention to what bills they're passing, because they're fucking you over in broad daylight. And y'all are just like, oh, AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene are fighting again. Let's go check Twitter and see what the beef's about. You should not give two shits about that.
And January 6th was not the worst thing that ever happened on U.S. soil.
Oh my God.
There were 58 race massacres from 1919 to 1925. January 6th was a fucking cakewalk. So I will, as a Black person, I get personally offended every time I think about all the Black and brown, all the Black, especially, people that have died in this country, that have been murdered in this country, all the Black people that built every single thing in DC that I see with their Black bleeding hands, and all the indigenous people that gave up their land, their culture, and their livelihoods in order for this thing to happen. So, that's all I can think about. So I don't want to hear about January 6th ever again, actually. Don't talk about it.
No.
It's not the first insurrection. It's probably not going to be the last.
Such an obvious psyop, y'all. It was, they planned that. Come on, they let them in. They let them in the building. I was there the day I left, the morning before that happened. And we were there for the Julian Assange extradition hearing was January 4th. And so I was down there to do coverage. We were going to do actions. We protested in front of the Department of Justice, all of that stuff. So I left the morning that happened. I can tell you, they knew it was coming. They knew it was happening. Everybody was talking about it when we went to get donuts at Dunkin' Donuts for the whole protest. And they were talking about it there. Like, everybody was talking about the fact that Trump was going to be having this rally in DC. That we had more cops surrounding our Force the Vote protest than I think showed up for the entire insurrection. Seriously, there was like 25 activists and there were like 50 cops for the Force the Vote protest. But then they're just letting people into the Capitol building, and then they're going to try to pretend like that's something that I should be worried about. And it's something like this just crazy riot. And they're using that to take away your fucking rights. Period. Yeah. They're not like, they want you to like call out your neighbors and your friends and your family. Like, Facebook's like, hey, report your friends if they're like dangerous extremists. What the fuck is this snitch culture bullshit? Are you kidding me? No.
That's no. 100%.
100%.
Top in your head.
Right. Like, we knew they were going to use January 6th to crack down even more on free speech. We knew that was going to happen. And then
I've been screaming it out for fucking years.
Right. Dude, just go off. I love it.
I could. It's so frustrating.
We knew this was going to happen. Like, we were all predicting, like, oh yeah, they're going to use this to create another Patriot Act. We knew this was going to happen. And we saw it again whenever they put out this ridiculous list of who's a domestic extremist. And it's like, they equated people who are both, pro-life and pro-choice. Like, So everybody. I can't protest. Like, I'm sorry, I can't go out and protest for, my bodily rights. Like, are you kidding me? And you'll consider me like a domestic extremist? Like, we can't march for Black lives anymore, and especially the anti-capitalist. So, okay, so we can't fight for Medicare for all. Is that what you're telling me? So are we all going to get arrested at the March for Medicare for All because we're all fighting for healthcare? What the hell? But then you have white supremacists who can go to the state house in Michigan with guns and try to kidnap the.
And even that was a Fed operation. 12 of those motherfuckers were feds. Right? There were more feds than there were people who got arrested. And I'm supposed to believe like that was some dangerous white supremacist attack. No. And listen, I get it. White supremacy is 100% an issue, but that shit was fake as fuck. And they're using that to take away your rights. They're trying to scare you. They can't do it with like the terrorism things wearing off.
There's so much entrapment.
Yes, I'm telling you, it's so bad too, and they're very good at this. They are so good at this. They are very good at propaganda. They're very good at narrative management. They know exactly how to sell you this story, and they know exactly how to scare you, and they want you to be afraid of your neighbors so you're not paying attention to the man behind the curtain. And that's what's happening. They're trying to pit us against each other so that we're fighting ourselves, and then we're being led into a war on ourselves, and we're like happily marching along, and we're like cheering it on as we go. And it's fucking ridiculous. My enemy is not some dumb fuck racist who lives down the road. I live in small town Ohio, surrounded by Trump voters. That's not my enemy. My enemy wears a $5,000 suit and sits in a boardroom. That's my enemy. And we're getting distracted. We have to, and listen, those conversations and those arguments and those debates about, like dealing with racism, obviously that's a fucking thing that needs to happen 100%. But we can't even, like, people want to get mad because I talk to libertarians. Really? You're going to argue with me about economic theory right now? Like, the elites are completely taking over our country. They're seeking global jurisdiction over information and journalism right now as we speak, and they're bombing the entire globe. And you want to talk to me about economic theory? No, we need to deal with the problem. And the problem is not our neighbors. The problem is the system, the government, the corporations that own and control them. That's the problem. And I'm so tired of this. People just get so easily fucking distracted. It's so frustrating. Sorry, I am really preachy tonight. I get this way sometimes.
We just bring it out in you.
Maybe.
We're having a bitch fest here.
That's what this show is for. I don't know why I apologize. See, I apologize because I'm a woman and I've been trained to apologize. That's what it is, honestly. It's a little bit of what it is.
But I think people have to realize that, like, some of us have been bitter for a long time. Like, I've been bitter since Obama. So I'm a really angry, bitter person about politics.
If you're not angry, you're not paying attention.
And there's a lot to be angry about. Like, y'all won't even utter the words white supremacy out of your mouth, but you're trying to fearmonger about white supremacy. That's not what your real concern is, because white supremacy upholds capitalism. Racism is capitalism. It's the same thing. So of course they're going to, let them off the hook. Of course they're going to give them slaps on the wrist. Of course they're going to let them into the building, whether that shit was real or not. Of course they're going to let them into the building, because regardless of anything, those are their friends, their law enforcement friends. There were people that were teachers, doctors, freaking police officers, goddamn lawmakers. There were lawmakers out there. So you're sitting up here and you're telling me that y'all want to fearmonger about white supremacy, but y'all are not actually going to utter the words white supremacy or address any of the systems of white supremacy that are currently within this country. Then you are deeply unserious. Y'all just do not want us to actually continue to revolt against you. Because last year, the George Floyd uprisings, they were so surprised. They were clutching their pearls because niggas are tired. Niggas are angry, and we have a reason to be. Because we have to say a different name or learn a different name every other day. Black mothers are dying on delivery tables. Black women hold the most student loan debt of any other demographic group. So we cannot start generational wealth. We can't even begin to pay off our debts. So how do we start our lives when white people on average are born 3 times more wealthy than we are? Of course we're fucking angry. I'm going to continue to be angry. There's nothing that you can do to stop that other than give me my goddamn rights. Other than get out of my way and give me my liberation. That's what's going to make me happy at this point. Until then, I'm going to keep cussing y'all out.
Amen. Period. Love it.
Yeah. I don't know why more people aren't fucking angry.
Yeah. Because, for people who are, like, sitting on the bench right now, just get out of the line. Like Afeni was saying, just get out of the way. We don't need
join
you
or get out of the way. Yes.
Goodbye. Please.
These comments are cracking me up, Misty.
Why? I'm not reading. I'm really bad at reading the comments. Are there trolls?
No, they're
okay.
good, but they're funny.
Okay, I get a lot of trolls. So if you see trolls, let me know. I don't really give a fuck, honestly. I don't care. Actually, I will use it in the past. Here's the thing: they used to come for like I don't sleeping me remember for like the first 4 weeks, right? They came every week, and they were just awful in the comments, right? And so yeah, they were terrible, and we would bitch about them. They were giving me material, like, hey, thanks for coming, and we'll talk about you. And also, and then the fourth one, I think, maybe it was the third one. I said something, hey, thanks for coming, guys. You're, helping my numbers, you're helping my view count, my engagement, all of that stuff. So I appreciate you. And they stopped coming. So I think, I should have just not said anything. They could have just kept coming. They gave me good material. They're really dumb. I have the dumbest trolls, and it pisses me off because frankly, I think I deserve better. But they are really dumb. They're really dumb. They they just make shit up, and seriously, they call me a fascist on the regular. I'm not a fascist, and they throw that term around like it's nothing, and words have no meaning.
On the censorship and all that shit.
Yes, they voted for Joe Biden. They vote for Joe Biden. Fascism. I'm the fascist. Fuck off, dude. You voted for a white supremacist racist
have
piece
you
of
seen
shit.
The amount of anti-protest bills that are up around the country? That's
there are
fucking
4 in my state. There are 4 anti-protest bills in my state right fucking now. You voted for a fascist. You don't get to talk to me about fascism. I'm a free speech fucking activist. I don't know if you guys know this, but fascists don't exactly like free speech. It's not their thing. It's not really something they're into. So shut the fuck up. True. It's just, they're dumb. They're just really dumb. Right. And they swing and a miss all the time, but then they convince themselves that they won somehow.
I believe you can say whatever you want.
Learn what words mean. Learn what words mean.
But that's how the words. That's why I hate labels. They are always co-opted and used to divide. Always. Nancy Pelosi's a progressive now. Hillary Clinton's a progressive. AOC is a fucking leftist. She's a socialist. AOC is a fucking imperialist piece of shit.
That's ever.
Joe Biden's FDR. Joe Biden's FDR. And FDR is a piece of shit. Let's not get it twisted. But Joe Biden is no FDR. Come on. And AOC is not a fucking socialist. I have to hear that one more time. I swear to God. Oh, God. She is an imperialist. Hardcore imperialist.
She's barely even a social democrat.
I don't even know if she qualifies for that, honestly. I don't even know. Because words have no meaning. So social democrat has 5 million interpretations at this point, which whatever. But that's why I don't like labels. I really hate labels. Don't try to put me in your fucking box. I'm not box shaped. Don't put me in your box. Okay.
That's why I stopped calling myself progressive, and I just started saying leftist instead, because we have people like Jim Clyburn saying he's progressive.
Well, even the word progressive, if you actually understand the word from how it was used even back in the days of Teddy Roosevelt, a progressive is just someone who's anti-monopoly and is maybe pro-union, but they still believe in capitalism. So they're basically just a slightly better version of liberal, but very slightly. They're right between liberal and social democrat. There's progressive, and so
I want nothing to do with that.
No, not at all.
I'll work with you. I'll pull you this way, but I don't want anything to do with it.
Absolutely. And even with the FDR, the FDR comparison, because they did that with Bernie too, back during the primaries and stuff. They say this in a way as if that's an absolute positive thing. They forget the fact that for FDR, because I saw a lot of people bring up his New Deal. A lot of people brought that up when Bernie was running. They said,
"Yeah, racist as fuck."
The New Deal." Right. I was like, hello, black person over here. You realize that New Deal left out black people.
Yeah,
and
it did.
To show you where people's mindset, where their mindset is at. We're not even in their line of view. When they make these statements, they're not even thinking about the fact that left out a whole segment of people, black people.
That built this country for free. That continue to pump a lot of money into this economy.
Not even just for free, at great personal cost. And you know what I mean? That, not even for free. Fuck that. I think it's even worse than free. Jesus fucking Christ.
They stole their labor for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you're stealing our culture and profiting off of it and making lots and lots and lots of money off of it and stealing
Lots of money
our
off of it.
ideas,
Mhm.
taking credit for all of our inventions and making lots and lots of money off of that as well. You know, because the harms never stop. Environmental racism, it never stops. You know?
Mm-mm.
So
slavery didn't end. Slavery didn't end. It just got repackaged. That's what they do. They just repackage their bullshit. They repackage their colonialism. You know, here we'll put like a sassy new cover on it. Isn't this great? It's like, you know, what do they always say? New look, same great taste. If I was going to be marketing that shit,
new and improved.
Yeah,
same
yeah,
product.
And really, it's just like a new package on that shit. That's all it is. It's really what has changed. I mean, nothing's really. It's just a different kind of awful, you know. Oh, we're so far gone too, you guys. Like, it's really, I don't even know how we come back from this shit. And I can tell you just from a free speech, and I know I get it. I talk about Julian Assange and free speech too much. I don't give a fuck. This is my show. So just deal with it. But as far as the free speech shit, if Julian Assange is allowed to be extradited, it is over. That's it. The First Amendment is gone. Like, it's already, like, we only have like a little tiny bit of it. Like, we're hanging on by a thread. But between the anti-protest laws, the anti-BDS laws, Julian Assange potentially being extradited, the chilling effect that Julian Assange's arrest and torture has had is, I don't know how we come back from that. But if he's actually allowed to be extradited, which I honestly don't even know if that's what they actually want to do with him. I think that they just want to keep kicking the can down the road and hope that he just dies in prison, so that they can just kind of wash their hands. And they want to do it as quietly as possible so that people won't freak out about it, which is why you never hear mention of it. But and what pisses me off is that free speech, you can't do anything else. You can't fight for fucking anything if you don't have free speech. Period. End of story. It doesn't matter what your cause is. It doesn't matter if it's, the abolitionism or police brutality or education or environmentalism or healthcare, any of that. It doesn't matter. You cannot effectively fight and organize for a cause if you cannot disperse information and obtain legitimate information. And they want to take that away. They want to have complete narrative control. And you are not going to be able to effectively look. And the perfect example is healthcare. There's a whistleblower who used to work for the lobbying or for the pharmaceutical or the insurance companies, writing propaganda to misinform the American populace about the Canadian healthcare system. He's a famous whistleblower. Yeah. And that's what they do. And that's what they do it with war. They do it with police brutality. Look at how they control. Okay. A perfect example. I'm a true crime nerd, right? So, Chris Watts kills his entire fucking family, 2 little girls, his pregnant wife, right? The picture they use on the goddamn news is like this smiling family photo where everybody looks perfect and cute. And if it's like a black woman stole some makeup from the dollar store, it's like this terrible, mug shot. And then they want to dig into her history and find out that she got arrested for pot 6 years ago, and all this dumb fucking shit. And it is so apparent. It's so fucking
even when
obvious.
she's the victim.
Yes.
If they're the victim, they do it in order to make it justifiable that they were murdered.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm so sorry. The cop killed your mom. Oh, well, I saw, 10 years ago, she bounced a check.
Yeah.
Yep.
And but that's narrative control. That's how they use propaganda against us to get us, fighting amongst ourselves and voting against our own best interest. And we're very close to like a legitimate takeover of all of that. I know that sounds really dramatic and conspiratorial, and I get all that. I'm being dramatic because it is dramatic. Like, that's real, like, reality. That's what we're faced with, right? It's happening right now. They're torturing a journalist in broad daylight in the middle of London. And if you know what's happening to him in his case, they have nothing for journalism, for exposing war crimes, for embarrassing empire. And they're torturing him to death, and nobody gives a shit. And and it's not just about him. If that is allowed to happen, what does that mean for your First Amendment rights? What does that mean for you? And that's where the DVE stuff comes in. That's where the anti-protest laws come in. That's where all of this other stuff comes in, where it's not him. It's about all of us. They're not trying to silence him. They're trying to silence all of us. He's just the guy they're using as the example.
Yep.
Right.
And mainstream media like CNN and them, they don't even talk about it.
And when they do, Mehdi Hassan, to his credit, had Gabriel and John Shipton on, which is Julian Assange's brother and father. But then he wanted to talk about 2016 and Donald Trump the whole time. And it took Gabriel mentioning that the key witness in the case against him just admitted to completely fabricating his testimony against Julian Assange. He's a big fat liar. And not only that, he's a convicted diagnosed sociopath, a convicted child molester, and somebody who has a multitude of financial crimes, including embezzling over $50,000 from WikiLeaks, was convicted of that in Iceland.
Don't forget, he was convicted of impersonating Julian Assange.
Yes, he also impersonated Julian Assange with another FBI informant. They had a conversation to set Julian Assange up, essentially. And but that's who they gave immunity to, because they wanted Julian Assange. But Mehdi Hassan didn't want to talk about that shit. He wanted to talk about 2016 and Donald Trump, which Julian Assange isn't in prison for that. That has nothing to do with it. None of the charges are in any way, shape, or form connected to 2016. They come from the Manning leaks. They come from the Iraq war logs, the Afghanistan war logs, the Cotto murder video, all of that stuff. And so but that's part of the misinformation. They have people thinking that Julian Assange is in prison, and they have people hating Julian Assange because of 2016, because of some manufactured fault that he has for getting Donald Trump elected, which is completely fact-free. But they've used that to make people hate him so that they can manufacture consent for the fact that they're torturing him. And that's how that works, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. None of what you're saying should be considered dramatic, considering this is just another one of those crises that we've been talking about this whole time. It's this is a crisis. This is a free speech crisis. And I was listening to, I think it was Katie Halper's interview with Julian's fiance. And she was bringing up the fact that, so many newspapers, if what Julian Assange did was illegal, that makes what Daniel Ellsberg did with the Pentagon Papers makes that illegal. So we're just, going back in time and saying okay, all these leaks, we can no longer have whistleblowers. New York Times,
every
the
journalist,
Washington Post,
every journalist in the world
they're
would be
sitting
in
on
jail.
stories right now. They're sitting on stories right now that could
they
be
published the same exact things that Julian Assange is in prison for publishing. The New York Times, the Washington Post, Der Spiegel, they all published the exact same stuff.
This is a crisis.
Yes, that's why Barack Obama said that they call it the New York Times problem, because you can't persecute and prosecute Julian Assange without then having to say, okay, well, the New York Times is now on the line. And it really, that's the world. But these mainstream journalists won't even speak up for themselves. They were spied on. Journalists went and visited Julian Assange in the Ecuadorian embassy. UC Global, a Spanish security firm, had cameras everywhere in the embassy. They were spying on everybody. They were taking their electronic devices and making copies of them. They're going through legal documents. They spied on his conversations with his lawyers. That goes against attorney-client privilege. They had microphones in the women's bathroom. Journalists were spied on. None of them will say anything about it. There's only been a couple. Stefania Maruzzi, who is doing an amazing investigation and trying to work miracles with FOIA requests to try to get information on the Julian Assange case, because we can't even get information about all of this stuff. But then also I think Max Blumenthal and some others. Max Blumenthal actually did a really good investigative piece on it about all of the journalists and the UC Global spying and all that stuff. The man was spied on for years in the embassy. They stole his child's diaper so that they could try to get a DNA test to find out if he was the father. A 6-month-old baby. Do you understand that the links that and he told us this in 2010. There's a quote of him, and I'm going to butcher it, but they'll chase me to the ends of the earth, but I have to, he was just saying I have to do this because it's the right thing to do. I have to publish this stuff. People need to know about it. But he knew, and he told us in 2010, right before Cablegate came out, that they will chase me to the ends of the earth, but I'm going to do this anyway. And I'm not trying to deify Julian Assange, but this is somebody who's been consistently principled for his entire career. He's never gotten it wrong. They've never had any retractions whatsoever. He has never given up a source. Chelsea Manning ended up getting caught because she talked to Adrian Lamo, not Julian Assange. Julian Assange had nothing to do with her getting busted. So that's another misconception. It's just mind-boggling to me. And then in 2017, we're years into him being illegally and arbitrarily detained in the Ecuadorian embassy. And the dude goes ahead. He's already public enemy number one of the most powerful empire on planet Earth in history, probably. And he goes ahead and publishes Vault 7, which is the largest CIA leak in history. I don't have that kind of balls. I mean, to publish the CIA, the CIA stuff in 2017, when you're already he's 7 years into being in the Ecuadorian embassy, and to go ahead and just call out the CIA
you
like
nothing
that.
to lose.
I mean, well, he does. I mean, he's now,
true.
He did. He's now being like, he's literally in solitary confinement 23 hours a day in Belmarsh, one of the worst prisons in the world.
Right.
It's the, the UK's Gitmo, and he's going to die. I mean, they're killing him. It's a slow motion execution. So he did have something to lose. And now he has 2 children.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, but the fact that he had that kind of nerve, dude, I don't have that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a little preachy again. We started talking about Julian Assange and I do that.
But not even just Julian Assange too. If we we now have a crisis of free speech with Julian Assange, but then we also have Steven Donziger, who is being prosecuted by corporations, like
for calling them out on their corruption.
Right, the judge wanted New York to prosecute Steven Donziger. They refused to do so, so they brought in corporate lawyers from Exxon to prosecute him. He's being prosecuted by a corporation that he won a lawsuit against in, I think it was Ecuador. Also Ecuador. So we're all about Ecuador today. So the fact that he won that case and now they're trying to prosecute him is ridiculous. So this is just another crisis that, okay, now corporations can imprison us. This is a corporation. This should not be allowed. So this is just free speech, and like, where is law? Where people like to talk about law and order. Where the fuck is law and order?
There's supposed to be whistleblower protections. Y'all, I love whistleblowers. Everybody should love a whistleblower. Are you kidding? These people expose incredible corruption. Julian Assange has published more corruption and war crimes, and I mean, not just on governments, but like corporations. I mean, he's exposed all kinds of shit, more than anybody else in journalism, I think. What Chelsea Manning exposed? Literal war crimes. I mean, this is not a game, but we just let her get tortured. We let our truth, and we do this throughout humanity's history. We always punish our truth tellers. We should be protecting our truth tellers. I don't know how. We need to make that shift in our consciousness, but we need to start I mean, George W. Bush is like going on Ellen and like passing out candy at funerals while Julian Assange is being tortured in a prison. And, George Bush is the one responsible for the fucking war crimes. Julian Assange just exposed them. We're so flipped. I have a whole thread about this where it's a picture of some dumbass schmuck war criminal and Julian Assange. The wrong fucking man is in prison. The wrong man is in prison. George Bush should be in prison. Barack Obama should be in prison. Dick Cheney should be in prison. Susan Rice should be in prison. Hillary Clinton should be in prison. Joe Biden should be in prison. I mean, Julian Assange shouldn't fucking be in prison at all. He's a journalist. He exposed some of the worst people and the worst crimes on earth. And the fact that as a society, we have allowed ourselves to be gaslit to this position where this is acceptable to us is really terrifying.
Everybody connected to Jeffrey Epstein. All of them should be in prison.
Yes. Every last one of those fuckers.
Yeah. They're saying Chris Cuomo's or Cuomo's, I don't know if I pronounced his name right. They're saying that dude from CNN, they're saying his wife is connected to Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh my God.
All these people run together, man.
This is another thing we could talk about with propaganda, because Pizzagate was about making the conversation around child pedophilia in elite circles a taboo subject because they didn't want you to talk about it. And it's fucking real. It exists. Pizzagate was just some made up psyop. It's kind of like QAnon. But they did that because they wanted to make it taboo to talk about. They wanted if you bring it up, they call you, oh, you're a Pizzagator, or put your tinfoil hat on. No, these fuckers are sick. And there's a lot of child exploitation going on amongst those people, period. End of story. And the fact that we have Jeffrey Epstein and people are still denying that that's a fact is ridiculous. That's something that we need to be looking at even harder, because that is unquestionably happening, and we should not be standing for the exploitation and abuse of children in any way at all, especially from people in power. That's disgusting.
Right. Like, if you want to talk about actual American heroes, we'll just go ahead and name them. Chelsea Manning, Edward Snowden, Daniel Hale, the guy from Anonymous. What's his name? The one who was
Commander X.
These are American heroes.
Yes.
Keep going.
John Kiriakou.
Keep going. Just keep.
Yeah. I mean, those are people. When Kamala Harris got elected to vice president, oh, aren't you happy that your daughters have somebody? Fuck no. That's not the kind of representation I want for my girls. I don't want, if they're looking up to Kamala Harris, I failed as a mother. They should not be looking up to that person in any way. I want them looking up to Chelsea Manning. I want them to look at her and say, Jesus, she's brave. I want to be like that. That's who reality winner. I mean, I have my qualms about what she actually exposed, but to have the courage to become a whistleblower is ballsy as all hell. And I'm all about that shit. I love a whistleblower and I will fight for all of them, even the ones that aren't popular. Like Barrett Brown's facing new charges. He's a controversial figure. I don't give a fuck. People say this all the time. They'll try to, all the smears that come at Julian Assange. Oh, well, he's a rapist or he's anti-Semitic or he's a hacker and he's a high-tech terrorist, as both Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell have both said, use that exact same phrasing. I don't give a fuck. He could be the worst person on earth, biggest asshole on the planet. And I would still fight against what's happening to him because it's wrong and it's dangerous. And that's the end of the story. And you need to just be consistent. And I'm tired of dealing with people who can't see that.
And even if we would like to have a female president, that doesn't mean we want just anybody.
No.
like
more lady war criminals. Let's go. Girl power. No.
No, I don't stand politicians. No. I stand policy.
I stand people.
You know people. What I'm saying? I stand community. You see what I'm saying? I'm not about to sit up here and cap for any of you politicians that don't actually care about me. For what? What happened with Barack Obama? He fed us hope, and then he went and drone striked a bunch of kids in the Middle East. He spent all of our tax dollars that we could have gotten health care with, that Black people could have gotten reparations with. He spent all of that on bombing children in the Middle East, on attacking Syria and blaming Syria for their own disposition, on support. They spent money supporting Saudi Arabia, a human rights violating ass country,
a dictator country.
Supporting Israel, a human rights violating ass country. So do we believe in true democracy? Yes or no? Because I see a lot of fascism and genocide that we keep supporting all across the board. So you're like, I'm not listening to any of these politicians. I'm not looking up to any of these people that they prop up in front of us and trying to tell us that they're going to be the saviors of our lives if we don't vote for them. Oh my God, everything's going to go to shit. Everything's already going to shit. My life is shitty. The world is burning. I'm Black.
We've been voting. We done voted. It's over. We've been voting. It didn't work. It's getting worse. It's getting like everybody. We're gonna reform the Democratic Party. It has been 5 years. You failed. They're worse now than they've ever been. Bernie Sanders in 2016. We're gonna reform the Democratic Party. Fuck off, dude. You lost. I'm done. We're not following you anymore. I don't know why anybody's even entertaining the idea that the Democratic Party could even potentially be reformed. Seriously. I mean, how many times they got to fuck you over before you say I'm done?
We don't agree.
It's like I said about reformers versus revolutionaries. We don't need reformers. We need people to tear that shit down.
Yes.
We need revolutionaries.
We need a relentless humanitarian like that. We need relentless humanitarians. You know what I mean? Like just people who are ruthless for the people. Does that make sense? Because I know those two things don't really go together, being ruthless and a humanitarian, but I mean being ruthless for the people. Like, you know, the squad was supposed to go in there. What pisses me off the most is that their whole point when they ran, like in 2018, was we're going to go in and we're going to challenge the Democratic establishment. And all they do is spend their time talking about Trump and how bad Republicans are while capitulating to the Democratic establishment. And, you know, I want somebody who's going to, if we're going to elect you into Congress and you're going to claim to be on our side, then you need to go in there and start flipping fucking tables. And I'm not I'm not kidding. Like, I expect you to go in there and flip. I don't care if you're only in there for 2 years. I don't give a shit. That's your point. Like, that's the whole purpose that you serve, is to go in there and fuck shit up, call everybody out, expose as much as you can, and then, you know, get out of there. And that's what they were supposed to do. They didn't do that. They are now careerists. They're only worried about themselves, and people are suffering and dying because of that. And I'm tired of the excuses. I'm really done.
100%. Well, they're also out there voting present instead of actually, you know, implementing change for that Capitol Police funding bill. They could have actually made a big difference there. And they're like, I'm just going to vote present. So that way no one can say that I said yes and no one can say that I said no.
It passed by just one vote.
Pussy ass bullshit. We don't have time for it.
It passed by just one vote. All you had to do was actually mean the shit that you say. Defund the police. Why? Why are we defunding the police? Because Black people are dying. Because working class people are dying. Because we all know that police are only here to instill fear and instill control, to protect the most elite among us. So y'all said that over and over again all last summer. And I was an activist. I was out there protesting, getting fucked up by the police, listening to, looking at all y'all tweets of solidarity. You know what I'm saying? Thinking like, damn, maybe they might actually do something. No, y'all actually did the exact opposite, and y'all let the Capitol Police budget get raised. There are 40 plus police departments out here in DC. 40 plus. And the local DC Police Department gets $543 million. And after they do all their foolishness over the year, it comes out to about $610 million per year. But y'all are giving more money to Capitol Police? Are y'all joking? Who gets affected by that? The Black people that live in DC.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and
But
cops are nothing more than violence workers for capital. That's it. Cops don't serve any other purpose than being violence workers for capital. And the fact that they're giving more money, in you know, especially after George Floyd, and not that George Floyd was any different or any more like tragic or any of that stuff, but you know, that was like a kind of a catalyst moment, we'll say. And to do that after, like Afeni said, professing all this solidarity, you know, and then to just turn your backs again and do jack shit, it's unacceptable. I don't know why that's excusable for anybody who actually cares about Black lives and police brutality. That's fucked up. Stop making excuses for that shit. Again, people are dying. Why is that not enough for you to stop making fucking excuses for politicians? I mean, Jesus.
Yeah. They also led us on too, because you had Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush. They were on CNN, and during Force the Vote, they made it sound like they were going to do something different and possibly not vote for Nancy Pelosi. So I don't feel bad for them when people came after them, because basically, like, you guys set that up yourself. You went on CNN and you made people think that you were going to do something else, and then you just fell in line. So my whole thing is that when all of them were invited to come on for the Force the Vote town hall, you mean to tell me not one of the look, everybody got the one, okay? Everybody got the one, that one person that they can at least send in to appear at things. They couldn't even send one person. It was appalling. It's disgusting. And I think for me, that really like was eye-opening. Like, look, they got our money. They ran grassroots campaigns. They got our money. They're in DC. And now they're like, we don't really want to deal with you no more. We got where we wanted to go. And this is good enough for us.
And they kept you distracted. They kept you distracted from organizing outside the system too, which is a huge part of their purpose, is to keep people engaged in a system that doesn't work and is designed to kill you. And that's a huge fucking problem. And it's the same thing with AOC. AOC said before she got elected, no, I won't vote for Nancy Pelosi. She's fucking voted for her twice. 2 times, not once, but twice. And one of the times she did it when she had a huge opportunity to join together with other progressive voices and at least make a little bit of noise, at least push back a tiny bit. Like, that's not even, we weren't even asking for that much. First of all, Force the Vote shouldn't have even been a conversation, because they shouldn't have even been considering voting for Nancy Pelosi. That shouldn't have even been like a thought in their head. Like, if you elect me to Congress, which I'm not running and would never do, but if I'm running for Congress and I get elected, Nancy Pelosi is going to have to give me a laundry list of stuff in advance before I will vote for her. And I mean a laundry list of stuff. And I'm not doing the whole thing. No, I promise I'll do this after you vote for me. I want it in advance, and we're doing it now, and then I'll vote for you. Maybe. And it's going to be a long fucking list. But we couldn't even get them to withhold their vote just to get a floor vote on Medicare for all in the middle of a pandemic. Like, there's no better time. It was like the perfect alignment of stars for progressives to actually fight for healthcare. Like the perfect, I mean, not, that sounds terrible, because, you know, a pandemic is not a great time for anybody, lockdowns and all that stuff. But we have progressives who got elected on running for Medicare for all, and now we have a pandemic, and they have this potential to use their numbers that they 100% had the ability to use, to actually put a tiny bit of pressure on just getting a floor vote on healthcare. And they can't even do that. I mean, that's bare minimum. That's asking that's like on the floor bare minimum shit.
Right. They couldn't even get Katie Porter's seat back on
the committee.
Yeah.
AOC lost a committee seat. Back. Yeah.
They couldn't even get their committee seat back. Like, so they honestly, in a lot of ways, are just kind of worthless to us.
Worse.
they're worthless to us, absolutely worthless, because they're not doing a goddamn thing. It's like, okay, guys, okay, enough virtue signaling. We don't need any more people, kneeling in kente cloth. No more virtue. Stop virtue signaling. Stop tweeting. Get to fucking work.
Do something. Anything. Anything. Seriously, we said it earlier. One thing. Just pick one thing and actually fight for it. I mean, just all of you get together and fight for something. Just one thing. Y'all ran on the same shit. Where are you?
Like, even when Cori Bush
twice, some of y'all.
Yeah.
Right.
You wanted it twice. Twice.
Right. Like the biggest like mask off moment that I saw recently was when Cori Bush went on I'm not sure if it was CNN or MSNBC, but when they were asked about voting she was asked about voting as a bloc, and she outed Ayanna Pressley saying, "No, we vote for our own districts. When it comes to your vote, you vote alone." So they're not voting as a bloc, which is what we sent them there to do. We sent them there to be a Tea Party, to become their own caucus, to join together in order to fight. That's what we sent them there to do. And especially considering these are all issues that every single person in your constituencies voted you in to do, like the $15 minimum wage, like Medicare for all. When you ran on these things, then that's a reason to vote together. Because all of your constituencies want that thing. So even though you might be voting alone, even though you might be voting for your constituents, guess what? All of your constituents are aligned, so you can vote together.
I mean, one thing, like that movie, that documentary, Knocking Down the House. Like, I remember when that first came out and I was watching that and I felt so inspired and so hopeful. And now, like, I cannot go back and watch that documentary.
I've never seen it because I was immediately like, ugh.
Yeah, like I can't go back and watch it again now because it hurts my soul. Yeah. It really hurts to see that these people who were everyday working class people go through the things that they had to go through to run in these campaigns and try really hard to win, and to see that only one of them won at the end of the documentary, who we know is AOC, and to know that one has sold out so quickly.
Did she though? Really? She interned for Ted Kennedy. I don't know that she sold out. I think she just is now showing who she always was. I mean, I don't think she was ever really, you don't intern for Ted Kennedy if you're just some person, she's really great at this mythology that she's built around herself. And she probably, because Bernie Sanders is amazing at this. That dude has the most amazing mythology built. Like, he has this persona that he's put on, and like his stands just like hold on to that shit. Like, he's just this great grumpy Bernie. He voted against the Iraq war. And if you actually go look at his record, he is a shrewd politician and an imperialist. And she's the same way. Like, she's just very good at putting on that show. But I don't think that she even really sold out. I think that she just that's just always been who she was going to be. I mean, she went on CBS one time and they called her out on turning her back on Palestine. And she did this whole, I'm not an expert on these things. She has a degree in international relations. Yeah. Fuck off. I'm not an expert on these things. I know what the fuck's going on in Palestine. I'm some dumb chick in Ohio. Like, I don't want to hear it from you. I don't want to hear it from you. I'm so tired of her using that, like trying to act dumb, so that, like she did with Max Blumenthal when he courted her on Venezuela. Oh, we're going to get a statement out. And then it took her like another month for her to say, we defer to caucus leadership. The fuck is that? Like, no, that's what I'm saying. When like, you have to hold these people accountable. And I don't understand a mindset who just keeps making excuses for that shit. I mean, these are not, do you just not care? I think that's what it is, honestly. They just don't care about Black people. They just don't care about imperialism. They just don't care about all of the things that they claim to care about. Again, they're hashtag people. It's, it's something cool to post on Twitter, but they don't actually want to fight for this shit.
Well, part of the problem too is the Kennedy family name here in Massachusetts. It's overrated. But it carries a lot of weight here, and a lot of people here see the Kennedy family as this progressive family because they think back to JFK, not realizing that a lot happened after him.
He was an outlier, kind of.
Exactly. Ted Kennedy was no. And there's a whole history behind him.
I don't even think it really was JFK. It was more Bobby, wasn't it?
I think Bobby was probably a little bit more lefty than JFK. I think JFK was just I mean, he got elected president, which, you know, the fact that he was able to do that with those kinds of politics. And he wasn't even really that left. I mean, he was just, for a president, he had pretty, I mean, he wanted to abolish the CIA, which, I mean,
I'm all for it.
I'm all for that.
Please.
He's got his problems. He's not a perfect president. I'm not going to, you know, like big up him, but anybody who wants to abolish the CIA, I'm okay with that. I'm down with that.
A lot of people don't know, like there's things about the Kennedy family a lot of people don't know because it's not as it's not as announced. Like Ted Kennedy killed a woman.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know about that. And
Straight
he got
up murdered
away
her.
with it.
It's like Chippewa or wherever that
I don't know, some fucked up name. I don't know. Chappaquiddick? I don't know.
See,
He murdered a girl. Who cares where it was? He murdered a girl and then like became a senator and nobody talks about it. It's fucking crazy.
And you know what they said after that happened? You know what they said to him? You're not going to be able to run for president now. That's what they said to him.
Oh, poor guy. That's rough.
Poor Ted can't run for president.
That's really some tough luck, man. Chappaquiddick. I was kind of right. Thanks, Greg. Hey, is that your husband? Hi, Greg.
Yeah.
Good job.
I figured he'd get it right.
Yeah, it's some weird ass word. I'm terrible at names of shit anyways. So, oh shit, we're at 9:00. Sorry, Sleepy. I don't want this to end. This was fun. This is so fun. Oh, okay. If you guys don't know, I don't know. I probably didn't introduce you because I'm terrible at this. But Sleepy Josh is what?
Steve already started the show on his own, so if you need to go longer, that's fine.
Oh, it's okay because I feel bad because legit, Sleepy Josh does so much for lots of people.
I'm multitasking. It's all good.
He's our tech ninja. He does all of our tech, like my tech stuff because I'm dumb and I don't know how to do it. And he does Steve's learning though, so that's good. That'll give you some more time. He's making me some like how to run a show for dummies, like how-to videos for me. Because I'm really bad at technology. I'm really bad at it. My brain doesn't operate that way.
Fee wanted it, all kinds of people.
I know, but it's, I'm just big upping you and making sure everybody knows that I'm really dumb at this. And it's going to take me like 6 months to figure out how to do it. And then I'm going to tell everybody that I'm a hacker, basically. I do that now. If I remember the password to my own email, I'm like, I'm a member of an anonymous.
That's funny.
Sleepy sent me a meme and everything. Okay, so do you guys want to tell everybody where they can find all your shows and all that stuff so that because if you guys aren't following them, you should be. Absolutely. So I don't know. Sabrina, you want to start?
Alrighty. So you can find all of us on Fred Hampton Leftist podcast on YouTube. Meg has her own show. Afeni has her own show. I have my own show on FHL. And then you can also find me on my separate channel, which is Sabby Sabs.
And you're also on Rockfin too, right?
Yes. And I'm also on Rockfin, which has been taken off very quickly recently.
No, that's because apparently a lot of comedians joined like all of a sudden because like a lot of us, I know your follower count went up, Facts on the Ground's follower count like skyrocketed. Steve crossed like 10,000, Robbie crossed 10,000. I think Franco crossed 10,000. So yeah, like a lot of people, which is good because we need to get the fuck off of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Meg, how about you? Where can everybody find your stuff at? Are you is it just YouTube for yours? Are you on Rockfin?
Yeah, right now just on YouTube. I have applied to Rockfin, but I haven't been approved yet. Hopefully soon.
It takes some time.
Yeah, so you can find me on Mondays with Jackie on Nerdolitics at 4 Eastern Standard Time. So we talk about the politics of nerd culture and the nerdiness of politics. You know, just combine it all. So that's on. And actually, this morning or last night, however you want to look at it, we had a very early live stream to watch the Loki finale. So go check that out. That was interesting. And my new podcast just launched, the Killjoy Guide. You can find that over on YouTube, both on FHL and also on its own channel. That's the Killjoy Guide podcast. You can also support that through Anchor right now. I just put out a primer today on what is feminism, and I have a interview coming up with Savage Joy that I'm going to be putting out very soon, as well as an introduction on why Medicare for All is a feminist issue and why we need to be fighting for it. So definitely check those things out.
Alrighty. Well, you guys can see me for the first time. My show comes out on Saturday, Facts and Fire podcast at 12 p.m. Eastern. And you can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at redisari. Also follow my grassroots org, Freedom Fighters DC on Instagram, and donate to mutual aid. Please and thanks.
Yes.
People ask me about like how I feel about being an organizer that works for the Working Families Party, like a leftist. I'll talk about that on Saturday. So if you really want the answer to that question, I'll talk about it then.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to check out your show, and I'm excited that it's at noon because I have the vigils at 1, so I'll be able to sneak it in before I have to go on the vigil. So that's good. Good times for me. You guys all know where to find me. The only thing I want to touch on before we sign out is just the protest that they're holding for Commander X on Tuesday. Steve's got all of that information. I should have Sleepy. Maybe you have it. I don't know, or I should have had it ready. But he's got all the information. If you just...
it's in. I think it's at the Federal Building in San Jose, I want to say.
Yeah, it's like
also, it's going to be live streamed, so we want as many people as possible to watch it live.
Yes, that's okay. So that's a big thing. If you go, Steve can, I'm sure he might have it pinned, but go to Slow News Day Show at Twitter or on Twitter. I think he's got it pinned, and you can find, there's like a link where you can go and log in and watch the actual hearing. And if like a whole shit ton of people do that, that sends a message that you can't do this in the darkness. We are paying attention to what you're doing. And so even if you're not in the area where they're going to be holding their protest, you can still log in and, log into as many devices as you can. Because if we can get like thousands of people logging in, it sends a message
so that we notice, basically.
Yeah, that we're paying attention, that they can't just kidnap somebody from Mexico, and we're just going to let it happen.
Follow Free Commander X _ on Twitter. That gets updated with most of the recent stuff.
Yeah. And also pay attention to other whistleblowers, what's going on with them. Last night on the vigil, I couldn't sleep last night. So last night on the vigil, we talked about what's happening to Joshua Schulte with Kevin Gostola, who's under special administrative measures right now. He's an alleged whistleblower. He's already had a trial. It ended in a mistrial. They're going to appeal it, or they're going to go after him again and try to get him again. So he's still in prison. He's still under special administrative measures. If you guys don't know what special administrative measures is, you need to look into it. It is literal hell on earth. It is like they throw you in a hole and forget about you, essentially. You are kept away from everybody, everything. You don't get adequate medical care. You don't get, it's like they freeze you to death in the wintertime. And it's unbelievable. We've covered it in depth on the vigil. So if you're interested in that, you can go back and find those episodes. But make sure you're following up on all of those cases: Daniel Hale, Joshua Schulte, Julian Assange. Obviously, keep an eye on Chelsea Manning. They can always still come back after her. Reality Winner is now at home on house arrest. We need to make sure that we're fighting to get her pardoned, because there's no reason why she should have this hanging over her head for the rest of her life. So yeah, and just the Commander X thing, if you can log into that and make sure you're paying attention to what's happening to him, because we have to send a message that we're not going to let them do this to us. Because if they're going to do it to them, they'll do it to all of us. I know it might not affect you directly right now, but it will at some point. So I'll get off my soapbox now. Jesus Christ. Okay, so I don't know who I have next week. I haven't scheduled anybody next, so it's a mystery. We'll all find out together. It'll be fun. So yeah, we'll catch you next week, Wednesday at 7. And I think that's it. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming, girls. It was so much fun.